my victim. All right, come on then. I'm gonna get a marker that is stickier here. Okay, so for L-spine, for practicum, we have 3 views. We're gonna do the AP, the lateral, and then the spot view. We are going to use the LS centering, so lumbosacral. So we're gonna center at the level of the crest, okay? If you're just doing lumbar spine, we come a little bit higher and we center about 1.5 inches above the crest, but almost everywhere you go, they wanna see the bottom of the pelvis. So we do lumbosacral. So we're at the level of the crest, okay? So come into 40. Oops. Make sure we're in detent. And then for the AP and the lateral, we're going to use a 14 by 17. So we want it to be in there lengthwise. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on the side. And I'm going to have Jesse step to the side for me real quick. So I'm gonna set this at 17 top to bottom. Oops. And then we're going to go about 7 side to side because we're only looking at the spine, right? So when we're lined up, we wanna make sure that we stick our marker. If you get your collimation all set up, you can stick your marker on the bucky in this top left corner, and then it can live there for both the AP and the lateral. So I'm gonna have my patient go ahead and put his back against the board. I'm gonna feel for the top of your crest. Right there. Most of the time, the crest is in line pretty much with the belly button on an average patient, okay? So you can use that as a landmark too, but don't depend on that because that can be variable if someone's had abdominal surgery or something to that nature. The belly button may be lower. So usually at the level of the crest though, or I mean they're usually the same. And for this one, we're not gonna shield because if I roll a shield in front, odds are we're going to cut the bottom off. If I have him hold a shield up high, the shield could end up in the light field. So we're just going to leave them unshielded, arms at the side, and then take a breath in, blow it out, and hold it out. Okay, so expiration. I'm gonna get the lungs up and away from the L spine. Okay, so that's the AP. The lateral, my patient's gonna turn and face the left because we always wanna do a left lateral when we can. I'm gonna have you cross your arms up on your chest. Take a step forward, a little more, and then all the way to the left. So here you wanna make sure that your patient's hips are straight. Make sure that they're not rotated one way or the other. And then we're centering between the mid-coronal plane and the posterior portion of our patient, okay? So I didn't change my collimation or anything. I'm centered there. Again, that light field kind of starts to wrap. And same thing, blow your air out and hold it out. And that's expiration lateral. Okay, so still at the level of the crest. I didn't change my collimation. Everything stays the same except he changes positions, okay? For the spot view, I'm going to change to a 10 by 12. You can relax for a second. The textbook centering for the spot view is 1.5 inches below the crest and then 2 inches posterior to the ACEs. Okay, so I have kind of a little trick to help us center for that. So go ahead and put this 10 by 12 in here. And then we're gonna just set our collimation to be 7 by 7, okay? Because we're just looking at the 5th lumbar body, the joint, and the top of the sacrum. So I can put this in the left anterior portion where it won't be on the anatomy, okay? And I'm lined up there, and I'm gonna have my patient put his left side back against the board. So like I said, 1.5 inches below the crest, and then about 2 inches posterior to the ACEs. So if you see around the top of the crest, put your hands back on your chest. So I'm gonna find his crest, I'm putting a C around, and then I bring my middle finger down, and that is going to be my centering point. Does that make sense? So C over the top, and then put your middle finger down, and that'll put you about the 1.5 inches below and the 2 inches back, okay? So I'll help you guys with that during practice here. So I gotta line my Bucky back up. I know my marker will still be in the light field where I left it. And then, again, C, centered there. And this one, my patient can just hold their breath, okay? Because it's low enough that we're not worried about the diaphragm, okay? So those are your 3 for practicum. AP, at the level of the crest, on expiration. Lateral, at the level of the crest, expiration, between mid-coronal and posterior portion of our patient. And then the spot view, again, seeing, putting your finger down, or 1.5 inches below and 2 inches posterior. With this view, we talked about in the book angling 5 degrees caudad, 5 to 8 degrees caudad. That isn't necessary when your patient is standing. That is only for when they're supine. Okay, when they're supine, their hips or the soft tissue here kind of makes the pelvis tilt up and then the spine sits lower. So we have to angle to like meet that difference in the spine, okay? Whenever we're standing, we don't have that fluctuation with gravity and stuff working against us. So no angle for standing spot. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this one. And then I am gonna show you guys